Are you drunk?
No, not at all, but that is the most non-convincing.
You're like, no.
See, honestly, jokes aside, I may be patting myself on the back prematurely.
Okay.
But we've had a hell of a good run so far, if I say so myself.
You have, and you did.
No, it's we. We're a team.
Yeah, no, sure. Podcast. Team Butter. I understand.
Whatever. We recently recorded another great artist spotlight episode.
True.
We've had some phenomenal guests thus far.
Indeed.
And most recently, the podcast joined our iHeartRadio family.
Hallelujah.
Absolutely. So now, our listeners, both new and dedicated alike, can pretty much find us on anywhere and everywhere podcasts can be found.
Yes, sir.
And if they haven't already subscribed to the show, let me tell you, if they haven't subscribed to the show and this is their first time joining, welcome. You are now listening to the Shortbox Podcast, Jacksonville, Florida's premier comic book and pop culture podcast. I'm your host, Bader Milligan. I got my right-hand man with the most, Cesar Cordero.
Shalom, mishpacha.
Don't know what the hell that means. You can translate it later, but we are the Shortboxers. And you know what? Speaking of iHeartRadio C, what do we have lined up for this episode?
Listen, we have a guest on today that, honestly, I didn't know too much about, and I had the opportunity to speak to someone. I'm trying to keep it like super like incognito, but fuck that shit. She was outstanding. She was charming. She knew her shit and actually turned me on to a few things that I wasn't aware of regarding what's going on in Jacksonville.
Yep.
Certain podcasts to listen to, and she very humbly would much rather champion other people and other shows and other things
I could learn
than
something
herself.
From that.
You fucking definitely could learn something from her. You son of a bitch. But that said, I think you guys should stay tuned. This is going to be a good one, guys.
All I got to say is I've never been able to express myself as a brown person so much in one episode that it broke the laptop.
You did.
So. Shout out to technical difficulties.
Shout out to Rosie the Robot for breaking down on us.
Absolutely. But thank you, C, for that. And before we begin, for those joining us for the first time, we implore you to subscribe to the show. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, Google Play, and wherever podcasts can be found.
You wanted the best, you got the best. The hottest podcast in the world.
Goddamn, talk dirty to me, C. It's easy and free to subscribe. In addition, find us all over social media, posting something that'll make you laugh or say, what? That's kind of cool. Search the Shortbox Podcast and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. C, can we start the show?
I believe we can, sir.
Fantastic. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. The Shortbox Podcast is proud to present episode 197, Head Bitch in Charge. Ooh.
It is indeed a great pleasure to present to you at this particular time the hardest working man in show business. Man, this thing ought to go crazy.
Let's go. Not your Suicide Squad, that's some comic book guys. Back again, another round, safe to say we take the prize. Not a stranger to this thing, or 11, just normal guys. Smooth pop culture, comic gang vultures. The L we facing out, just outright golden. You already know how we do for those who know us. iTunes, the Shortbox, come on and join us. It's not a secret to the world that we taking over. So with this war, Dr. Doom, and yeah, the wait is over. So fan girls and fan boys, welcome to season 4. We got exactly what you need, make yourself at home. Season champions ready to give you so much more. Ladies and gents, let's begin. This is season 4. Yeah, the Shortbox. Ha. Let's go, let's go. Elevated music. No. Season 4. Let's go.
But I do want to start out like this. I told someone, I was like, yo, it's going to be Catalina and Cesar. I guarantee you there's going to be a segment of the show where it's going to be straight Spanish talk, and I'm going to be in the back. It's already happened.
No, it'll be Spanglish. It'll be Spanglish. I can't speak straight Spanish.
Hold on,
for more than 30 seconds.
Alhamdulillah. How about that?
Yo, listen.
Yo, wait, what?
Yeah.
Man, don't let him look. This is what Cesar does. I invite people that I meet and know and hope to build a friendship with.
I was trying to make you feel better, man.
And then Cesar comes on the show, smooth, slick talking C, and steals all my friends. He stole Nick Fresh from me.
I stole your mom.
Stole my father from me.
I stole your dad. I was like, yo, let's talk about Jersey.
I stole your next door neighbor's goat. Just everybody.
Boom.
Everybody.
Yo, It's not me you got to worry about because I'm light skinned. It's Cesar you got to worry about. That's what people get mistaken. So.
What language is that?
Caesarian.
Arabic?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Caesarian sounds a lot better.
You mean Caesarian?
Dude.
That's a totally different thing, though.
I mean, not really.
Wait, did you call Caesar a C-section?
Well, that's where that comes from. Julius Caesar was the first C-section. That's why they call it.
Was he really?
That's why they call it a cesarean.
Wow.
They cut him out.
What the fuck? How did I not know that? That's really cool.
A lot of people don't know that.
I'm gonna insert
I feel like I need
quick.
to fact check this too. Also,
Yo,
I feel like you
could
can absolutely bullshit me, and I'm just gonna buy it.
It could be the etymology of the word, where like because Julius Caesar was one of the most famous C-sections. I'm sure they were probably doing C-sections before that, but since he's the most famous one, they're gonna associate it with him. You know what I'm saying?
But see, that's the best part about most of his facts are pretty on point. It's usually me that's lying, like through my teeth.
Welcome to the C-section podcast.
Yo, that'd be a dope all you podcast.
The C-section.
The C-section.
Oh, you'll trademark the shit.
Trademark Shortbox podcast.
New brand.
Damn, see? You're welcome. You're welcome.
The C-section.
Major key. Yo, before we get too ahead of ourselves, Catalina, we have this, first of all, how do you say your last name?
Alers.
Okay, fantastic. I think it's really dope when you got like double. It's like the emphasis.
Is there a hyphen?
There is. It's stupid.
Nice.
I love my family, but it was stupid. Because most Hispanics have, of course, like the hyphenated name. You know, it's your dad's last name and your mother's maiden name, and then put together.
Yep.
My family, for some reason, they have the same last name, Alers, and instead of like dropping one and keeping one, they decided to hyphenate them. And thing is, I didn't realize until I was way older that when I tell this story, people would look at me funny, not because of my last name, but because they're like, yo, was your family like in incest? Why did they have the same last name? And
I didn't even think about it. I just thought it was like a double emphasis. Imagine if it was like Botter Milligan.
I wouldn't have.
That would not work. That'd be like, what the fuck times
that's
two.
Fun to say, Botter.
Oh, shit, that's going to be... I don't want
to sound like a Pokemon. Butter.
Real quick. When Pokemon was hot in the streets in middle school, kids used to be like...
No, never in the streets.
And
no one...
was hot.
Hold on.
Shit,
no one in Englewood was like, yo, motherfucker, you be watching Squirtle.
Real quick. Squirtle was the most gangster motherfucker ever.
Squirtle?
Yo, he had like the shades.
Hold on.
His second form Wartortle had the shades.
I was about to say Wartortle had the fucking packing heat.
Exactly. Hot in the streets. But anyways, when they were hot in the streets, I used to get that all the time. Like, Botter is... What is your name? A Pokemon name, motherfucker?
And then you should have hit them with that, Botter.
No, that wouldn't be hot. That would not be hot in the streets. But...
Should I do the honors of
the
tradition?
I was going to get to that.
Oh, sorry.
Catalina, we have this tradition on the show when it comes to brand new guests joining us for the first time. We take them through this little mini gauntlet that helps out our listeners. And C is the master of this tradition, so I'm going to pass it off to him.
Thank you, good sir. Okay, so every time we have a guest in the show, we assume that everyone that's listening might be a first-time listener. In which case, they'll be like, oh, my God, what is this show? Who is this person? So I will be asking you two questions that our listeners, potentially, may be asking you indirectly, which is, who are you and why should they care?
Or more realistically, who is this bitch?
Well, I mean...
Who is this?
Just gotta wait,
that might have just been me listening to a stranger.
I asked
this
you...
is a Christian podcast.
Oh, God, no.
Brought to you by ChristianMingle.com.
eHarmony. No, so both those questions I kind of cleaned up. I give you the job interview language version of it. I should have given you the street version.
You should have seen it 100 episods ago.
Like 100 episodes
when I had to tame, like, yo, so you can't be doing that.
Yo, I was like Rick Ross, like, oh. Who the hell are you?
Yeah, that's so messed
I immediately
up.
thought about the Biggie verse.
Almost died?
I need 100 black comics for 100 black bits.
On my podcast, paging me at 6. God damn it, C.
So that's
So who am I?
So who are you and why should we care?
Okay. Well, my name is Catalina Alers-Alers. I'm a radio and TV host in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I've been here since 94, so this is my hometown. Jacksonville is my city. I work for 97.9 KISSFM. I'm the night show host.
Okay.
Been there 5 years, worked my ass off to get that position, and currently loving the hell out of it.
Good.
And you should care who I am, because I got fun shit to say a lot of the time.
Talk about it.
I mean, on my radio show, it's very like entertainment driven, you know.
Okay.
hating on what the Kardashians are doing again, talking about music, which of course I love, and that's why I have the job in the first place. But I always really like to rep for my city.
Okay,
always.
damn good.
Since I was like super young, I would read like Folio Weekly when I was 12. And shout out to Carrie Speckman. I feel like she's kind of the reason that I'm as sarcastic as I am, because I would read her column growing up, and I was like, dang, this bitch is funny. And just really witty. And like finding Folio Weekly, because I grew up in Orange Park, which could be a tiny little bubble, a tiny little social bubble. If you don't leave Orange Park, you're not going to Did you grow up in Orange Park?
No, I grew up on 103rd, all right?
All right, well, but kind of same
No,
thing.
same
It's
thing.
relatively small, yeah.
Look, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was like, I realized that my formative years growing up in elementary, middle school, and high school was all in a 5-mile radius. So you're absolutely right. You could easily get stuck.
I could walk to my elementary school, my junior high, and my high school.
Yep,
That's
ditto.
how small my world was. It was all within like 3 miles, if that. And since then, finding Folio Weekly and sort of like realizing there was so much more outside, I've always just tried to explore more of this city, and watching it really grow culturally and like with the food scene and, you know, the bar scene, watching it grow has been really fun to see. And so I will always rep for the people of this city, the cool shit that's happening. And so, I mean, that's always been my thing. I'm proud to be a part of the city. I'm proud to grow up here.
Outstanding. We I think have been sort of like, that's a common theme on our show, is that we believe in Jacksonville. We like always, of course, we have our champion season on the second half of the show, but the undercurrent as far as the theme of this podcast kind of is the love that we show towards Jacksonville, and that, you know, we're always out trying to, you know, like you said, rep the city and be like, look, there's tons of things to do. Like, get off your ass, jump on it. This is a nice place to be.
Yeah.
So,
And that was a key reason for having you on. Is I think there's that bit of cross-world, because not only do we rep our city, but, I mean, you just said it yourself. Like, I think in this room right now, we've got 3 people who highly respect and love the city for what it is and what's going on. And I think you've had guests on your show. And you're being a little too humble, because you don't just do a radio show. I was about to say, what about all the other shit?
Okay, hold on. So let me warn you right now. I am a little hungover, so I might just be like, oh yeah, also forgot to tell you this. I'm also the co-host of a podcast that I started, or that my coworker Jessica and I started last February. So we just celebrated our 1 year.
congratulations.
Thanks. It's called But First Brunch, so you can listen on our iHeartRadio app. And it started out just being Jessica and I would catch up, because she works morning shifts and I work nights. So we would always see each other for like 30 minutes here and there, and we'd catch up. And our conversations would like start out talking about, you know, whatever entertainment bullshit's going on that day or whatever happened locally. And she has such a very unique view on life. She's very positive, and she's surprisingly wise for her age. She's like 24 and just is wise beyond her years. And I'm super like pessimistic and just kind of bitchy.
Yeah, that sounds just
on
like
the
us. Right?
opposite.
That sounds just like us.
Like, I'm the optimistic one, and you're the...
Oh, no.
But that's where it kind of started, is we would have these insightful conversations, and we were like, why don't we just turn this into a podcast? So we did. And it was always to showcase like stories that reflected millennial culture and kind of like what's going on, and then to always bring in people that you would kind of want to introduce to your friends. Like, yo, did you see what this person's doing? Did you know that Brad Pitt is making a movie about this doctor that's working at Mayo Clinic? You didn't know that, and I just told you. And so we love doing that. We love introducing. We call it like inviting friends to brunch when we bring a guest on. We just love inviting them to brunch and introducing our listeners to these people that they might not have known about.
Cool.
And they're really interesting.
So what about the TV leg of your hustle?
So the TV side that's something that I always wanted to do. Getting into radio, I knew that eventually I wanted to do TV. And so I was invited to start co-hosting on The Chat, RIP. It's not there anymore. But it was a all-women panel talk show on First Coast News. And that's where I really found my voice. It's also where I learned to do TV makeup, which, let me tell you, that shit is hard. It's not cheap either. It's very expensive to do. And we it was all about local. All that show was, of course, we did the typical things at the top of the show where we're talking about the top headlines of the day and, the hot gossip. But it was the same thing. We would bring in people from the Florida Theater or the Cultural Council, just whatever was going on. And sometimes like the discussions that we would have at the top of the show with topics could get heated. And I ended up finding my voice on that show, and not necessarily my voice, the voice of other people, because we would have conversations about anything. When the HRO was on its way through the Jacksonville City Council, there were people that were like, why would we need to do this? Like, they're fine. Like, no one's really going to fire them for being gay, which we all know is not true. And so I was like the token millennial on the show. I was the youngest one on the show. And I found out later that people in the gay community were like thanking me because I was the representation and the respect that they don't get to see in mainstream local media. And I was like, dang, this platform is way bigger than I thought it was. Like, I was just having fun and learning how to be a host. And I didn't realize that my personal views were, you know, speaking out for the ones who don't have as loud of a voice and don't have that platform. And so I did it for 3 years. The chat was such a great, fun experience. I met some really amazing women on that show and great people. But it ended in September. So it's now is dead, is gone.
So have you ever had, so being that would you say you found your voice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so since you have you ever had an instance where you found it, how do I word this, where it's been somewhat of a challenge regarding personality types, like clashing personality types, like right out the gate, where like it's up to you to keep things from getting heated? Like, how do you balance that sort of thing? I mean, it's all about professionalism. You know, there was one woman on the show who I just butted heads with constantly, and I don't think she realized that. But if I let her, because I also ended up moderating for the show, so thankfully I had such great training and great coaches on that show with our executive producer Bonnie Soloway that she let me be the moderator, which is the head of the table. You know, Sure.
Head bitch in charge.
Is that the official title?
That's what I called it.
Nice.
That's how I felt.
Nice.
Damn, that's a hell of a jump.
They give you lanyards,
exactly.
you know. I'm waiting for that one. I want to be head bitch in charge.
Dude,
I really do.
I cannot wait till the day I break that news to my mom.
So
Mom,
badly.
yo, I quit my job. I'm head bitch in charge. Over
She's
here.
going to start crying,
Yeah, she would.
She'll be so proud.
singing spirituals.
Is your mom in choir? What? She is?
You know what? I feel like the equivalent of that is like rapping Little Kim verses. That's the spirituals for head bitch in charge. Yo, so check out Catalina, because you brought up training and you brought up, you know, working your ass off for 5 years, but your goal wasn't always to be radio.
Oh my
right?
God, no. No, this is something I totally fell into.
Endgame was head bitch in charge, though.
Yo, and you made it.
And I made it.
Congrats.
I'm announcing my retirement right now.
Oh, shit.
That's it.
401k,
No,
dental.
just kidding. No. I got like $13,000 left in student loans. I ain't retiring
Mic drop.
anytime
Yeah, the
soon.
struggle is real.
No time soon.
But so how did you? So radio wasn't the goal in the beginning. Can you talk about like your early years? What was the goal? Right, you went to school for television broadcasting.
For video production.
Com major?
Com major.
Oh damn
Fellow
it!
com
This is
major.
it.
Oh yeah. What did you major in?
Communications, broadcast, television, radio.
Oh, see, they essentially the same thing. It's a long-winded story, y'all. Buckle in, pour yourself a glass of wine. This story's a little longer. So when I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I was really going to do, and I was like, I'm just going to work, like take a year off, like just kind of figure out what the hell I'm going to do. So a year later, I started going to FSCJ and thought like, I want to be an English teacher, because I had such great English teachers growing up. Miss Bumpers at Lakeside Junior High made reading even more fun. I was a little bookworm. So this is why I love all of my English teachers. And then when I got to high school, there was this one teacher. His name was Mr. Fagan. He was a punk guy. He had like, you remember those chain necklaces, the ball ones, the silver balls that were
No,
like
C
a
still wears
little.
those. Still rocks those occasionally.
I mean, no hate. It's just, maybe go with gold. It's better for your skin tone. That's all I'm saying.
I'm very old. I'm just going to say that.
But he had those, and he had like hoop earrings. Like he was such a cool, like, and he would sometimes listen to like heavy metal in the classroom as like kids are coming in.
Yo, this is fucking C to the.
Is that you? Were you my English teacher?
I'm thinking he traveled back in time.
I am a time lord.
Yo, actually, look.
Word up.
He is so
Doctor.
old, he could have just been your English teacher, period. Like, no time
Your
lord
skin
involved.
is amazing for 72.
God bless you.
I'm so
Let me just tell you right now, you know the Dead Sea salts and the lotions they try to get you in the
Deep Sea
Orange Park Mall?
Cosmetics, they got me.
Yo,
Orange
No, they
Park
got me.
Mall.
Yo, they got me. The
they get you too?
Look, the Israeli sisters started rubbing that shit on my forehead.
Excuse me.
And I was like, oh
No,
my
they
God.
grab your hand and they're like, now see, this is the Deep Sea Cosmetics. It's so good. I rub it on your skin
I
and
scream
then I
for
wipe
my
it right off and
parents
then
when they
boom.
do that. Mom! Mom!
It's good.
No, they got me Christmas like 3 years ago. I bought that mud mask.
So you're a reader, safe
Yeah.
to say. You like reading.
I did, and I read everything growing up. So I loved my English teachers, and I loved the effect that they had on me, how they made literature really exciting, how they made writing creatively they were so encouraging. And so when I finally decided to go to college, I was like, I'll be a high school English teacher.
Right.
Like, I want to have that same effect on kids.
Right.
Didn't work out that way, because then when I finally got to the point in the classes where I had to shadow a teacher for a week, I shadowed at Ridgeview High School for a week of summer school, and I was like, no, this is not going to work. I don't have that kind of patience. I don't have the thing that teachers have that makes them so passionate about what they do. So I was like, time for a new plan. And I switched over to journalism, because growing up, I read Folio Weekly. I had such an appreciation for what journalists do, and like I read Time Magazine as a kid, and I found out who Daniel Pearl was, and I thought, just like, what a great, respectable career. I was like, I'll do that. And then got to UNF, transferred over, and of course, like UNF, they have such great resources. They bring in people in the industry, and they give you such honest advice and tips. And then I realized, holy shit, I can't be a journalist. I'm way too emotional. I can't cover tragic events and not bawl. Like it would wreck me.
Conflict
I couldn't do
of interest.
it. Exactly. I'd be like on the news trying to read the story about, a school shooting, and I'd be choking back tears constantly.
Right,
so I was
right.
like, this isn't going to work. But I still really liked the foundation of what journalism is, and I really liked the broadcast side of it. So I was like, I'll just go into video production. I really loved sharing stories. That's how I've always been. I love telling people about something cool that I learned or whatever. And so I got into video production. So I learned how to run camera, learned how to produce shows, learned how to direct. And during that time, that's when my friend Rose, who is now on a national morning show called The Kane Show out of D.C., she's kind of a badass, she was interning at KISSFM, and we have to take an internship to graduate.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. Like, I grew up listening to that station. That sounds like a good time. So I did, and that's where it just came together. It was like a spark. I was like, I'm kind of good at this, and this is really fun. It was like the perfect blend of pop culture and repping for my city and talking, which you can never stop me from doing. And it just worked. It was a great fit.
So those elements were enough, because I read your Babes Who Hustle spotlight, and it mentioned like the amount of hustle that you had during that period, like your internship. You were working like 7 days a week. You were in a part-time job, etc.
Yes.
Those elements that you liked were enough to drive you.
Yeah.
That much.
Because I had jumped around with majors and trying to figure out what I was going to do, that I finally found something that felt right. It felt natural. It made me happy. Granted, it was a bitch. Like, my first 3 years in radio, I was working nonstop, wasn't making a ton of money, and, had to work two jobs for at least a couple years.
Sounds about right.
It was a bitch, but
I used to work at Channel
worth
4, and I had another job on top of my Channel 4 job,
dang.
and I was a video editor.
Yeah.
And I was working also as this is how old I am, a video rental store clerk.
Blockbuster?
VHS. No, mom and pop. It was Flix Video back in
Dang.
Where was that at?
Argyle Forest. Right next to the McDonald's in the Winn-Dixie.
I don't ever remember that place.
Yeah,
I mean, no shade,
done.
but
oh no, it's all right. It's okay.
Yes, back in the days when me and Moses knew each other, it was great.
So, who were some of your like radio personalities that you were looking up to at that? Like, were you studying any radio personalities during that time to like kind of fine tune some of the things, pick up some things?
Yeah. So, I really liked, over the last few years, I really like Letty B, who is at Kiss FM in LA. She's Mexican-American. She's great at what she does. I love her. Alex on the mic, same station, Kiss FM LA. She's from Philly, and she's more of like my type of personality, where she's just this bold chick who just really loves music, but will say whatever, and she's just really cool. She's like, you listen to me like, damn, that bitch is cool. That's literally listening to Alex on the mic. But when I started working in radio, I was kind of reflecting on like my radio listening habits growing up, because my parents used to listen to NPR all the time. I was an NPR kid, sitting in the back of our Volvo station wagon, and my dad would listen to Car Talk every Saturday morning, and I loved it. Like, I didn't realize how much I listened to radio and how much it really did shape the way that I listen and the way that I work. Because NPR is just great storytelling in general. And between Car Talk and oh God, what's the other one that I'm totally blanking on? Diane Rehm, which was like my mom's favorite radio show. So Diane Rehm, and then locally Melissa Ross, like those are people that I would listen to constantly. And that's who I am. Like, I'm not a bubbly sort of radio personality. I'm a blend of someone who has like the journalism foundation, and on top, like, who loves storytelling, And then I'm a little bit of like the bubbly chick. So it's this weird blend. I'm not like the typical kind of radio girl or even like just entertainment girl at all because of those people, those influences.
How long have you been with like Kiss FM, like in the hosting capacity? Because you do the overnight shows now, right? I do.
Yeah. 7 to midnight every weeknight.
7 to midnight.
7 to midnight.
Do you ever just like, God damn it, this shift is hard. Like what? Compared to like, have you ever done the day shift time?
I've covered for coworkers, yeah, and obviously it's much easier being awake during the day and clearly not making a fresh pot of coffee at 10 p.m.
Yeah. Have you ever tried not being a vampire? It's great, you know.
It's great. The sunlight, I love it.
So aside from like the physical toll, is there any differences doing the overnight versus day? Like, do you get more? I imagine, do you get any leeway doing the nighttime show, or do you still got to kind of be tight?
Well, so I'll let you in on a little secret. Sometimes my boss will be really cool. If there's like an event that I'm really passionate about and really want to go to, my boss is like, it's cool. You can pre-record your show and you can go. It's fine. So every now and then I'm not actually live in the studio.
Magic.
But that's the thing is that my boss understands how important, being out in the community is, especially with like arts events and stuff. Like I really love when I have the time and I really can go, I'll go. And he understands that. So it's really nice to have a boss that gets it.
You know, you've mentioned a couple times being a purveyor of like, and a champion of all things really great happening in Jax, whether it's an art event. I know that you spoke at an event last night, right? Like was it a?
Oh yeah, so this is our Women Empowering Women event.
And it's not the first. Like you got one scheduled for April too, right? Another women's kind of empowering event.
So that's a totally different event. That's Generation W. Yeah, but this one was one that was sort of my towing into activism for the first time because I advocate all the time on the chat, on the podcast. I'll advocate for human rights, for LGBTQ rights, women's rights, all the time. And this was my first foray into like actually doing something about it instead of just talking about it. So my friend Tefa is a very, very active social activist in the community, and she put together this amazing event. It was kind of an offshoot of International Women's Day, where we raised money for the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. They're going on a hunger strike in New York, and they're trying to get Wendy's, the restaurant chain, to join the Fair Food Program to keep their products, their vendors, domestic, and to, support their vendors paying their farm workers a fair wage. Because Wendy's did export, I don't think export is the right word, but they were using vendors outsource, thank you. Where they outsourced to Mexico, where we all know, farm workers aren't being treated humanely, and they're definitely not earning a living wage. So we were raising money for them, and we turned it into an event supporting local female artists. We had Stacey B from Focus People. We had Pamela Lane. Latavia Jackson read an amazing poem about being a black woman.
Pamela Lane.
She's a singer.
I know her. Yeah. I know Pam.
Pam?
And Joel.
Oh, first name basis.
Oh,
damn,
Pam.
see? Whoa.
Dude, I only know her as Pamela. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yo, P-Dog? Yeah,
I know Pam.
P-Dog.
I was in a band with her husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She was great.
She is great.
I told her after she finished, I was like, yo, you made me feel stuff. All right. I wasn't expecting to have feelings.
She is outstanding.
She was really, really great.
And a pretty good guitar player, too, at that.
Oh, no, it was so entertaining to watch. And so we wanted to support, local female artists. And
cool.
Another woman, I hate it because I can't remember her name. Again, The Hangover. But she...
Yeah, I'm going to use that excuse so many times.
It's Wednesday, Botter. You can't be hungover.
I'm like, watch me. Head bitch in charge.
We know him.
Hey.
8 a.m. Botter's drinking.
You know what? We're not going to talk about that on air because my mom might be listening.
You luscious bastard.
I was going to ask, what are some things, your favorite things in Jax that you wish more people knew about?
That's a good question.
Jeez.
Because, like I said, I was reading the Babes Who Hustle interview, and you had mentioned I might fuck it up, but an Afro-Cuban band.
Oh, LPT.
Exactly. So
yes.
And I had never heard of it, so I was... Yo, two things...
Yo, ya tú sabes.
Two things Cesar loves, Afros and Cuban bands.
I've had them both. Whoa!
Hey,
Yo,
whoa.
save that for the head bitch in charge, see? Anyways, what are some things that you wish more people knew about in Jax?
I mean, definitely things like that. you know, being a music lover, I really do like supporting local artists, and I don't always have the freedom to, you know, I can't play them on my station, even though people send me their music all the time, and I'm like, look, that's just not how it works. I'm sorry.
They're waiting for you outside of the radio station. Y'all got my mixtape. You're like, modern. No, goddamn.
Like Jonah Hill and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like he's like, hey, have you heard my tape yet?
Have you heard my tape?
Oh, no, sorry, mate. I was too busy living my life.
No, that's literally how it is. No, for real. I was at Okeechobee Music Festival last week, and
really,
we got
that's just crazy, ain't it?
I was exhausted for a whole week after that.
Yeah,
but we got a little friendly with a couple security guards at the main stage, and we're just like chit chatting. Turns out, according to him, he's first cousins with Leonard Fournette. So I was like, oh shit, like we're basically family now. But then, so like he had gotten my number so that we could meet up and stuff after they had gotten off their shift, and at the end of or like in the middle of the last day, so it's like Sunday, he's like, oh, where y'all head? Or like, where y'all at? I'm like, oh, we're going to head over soon. And he just sends me the album cover for his mixtape.
Yes.
I was like,
was DJ Drama hosting it?
Excuse me.
You done messed up. I'm sending you like
that was the name of the mixtape.
So
that was the name of the mixtape. You done messed up.
You done messed up.
I'm part of a rap group, kid. Know what I mean? It's
called
like
C-section.
straight fed. Yo, C-section, full effect. Orange Park, straight up 1997 B. Know what I mean? It's the
Track 5, Botter.
Yo, Potter Milligan done the beach, kid. It's great. Jump on it.
You think we fucking around?
Yeah, but definitely stuff like that. I like supporting local musicians, and LPT was something that one of my gringo friends actually told me about because I had no idea. And he's like, yo, there's this show every like once a month on a Thursday at Rain Dogs. It's a salsa show in the back. Like, you should come. And I'm like, okay, all right. I'm sure it's great. And then I get there, and it was
fantastic.
One of the best shows I've ever been. There's
Please
so
go
much
on,
fun.
because I'm interested now.
LPT. So I don't know if they play as regularly at Rain Dogs as they did, but I think on Instagram they're Somos LPT.
Okay.
So just keep up with like where they post and their shows and stuff. I think they're doing one later this month. But I could also just be wrong, so don't believe anything I say about that.
Fair enough.
Never mind.
So I want to switch gears real quick and talk about like some of the most memorable interviews, because you had on the podcast, But First Brunch, you had Donna Deegan on. Donna Deegan, I'm sorry. Which when I saw the name, I was like, flashback. I was like, yo, I remember coming home, watching her on the news with my mom. So I was like, I gotta listen to this show. And it was a fantastic interview. I had no idea about the run like that, like all the different aspects to it. But are there any memorable like interviews that still stand out to your mind that you might have learned something, or you might have been challenged, or something like that?
Yeah, Donna Deegan is definitely one of my favorites because just like
good.
You, like I
solid.
loved her growing up. Like I would watch the news just because I was like, yo, this lady's great. I just loved her presence. It seemed like and is one of the most just positive, great people. Hers was a great thing, and I hate saying like, oh, they're my favorite, because all of our interviews are great. You know, we've had big people like Donna Deegan. We've had startup people like Ashley Blondell, who runs, I'm going to say, I said the name wrong in the podcast. I'm going to say it wrong again. Little Flower Bunch. Yes, it's Little Flower Bunch, where she took this concept of floral arrangements and really made it very unique and localized it, and it's cool. So I love interviews like that where you get to know local people and the cool stuff they're doing. But my hands down favorite one was interviewing Dr. Alfredo Quiñones Hinojosa, who is the chief of neurosurgery at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. And I met him on the chat because his story has been, like, you could Google him, you'll see, like, people interview him all the time because his story is amazing. He came here from Mexico when he was 19, and he was a migrant farm worker. Like, he was just trying to make money to send back to his family. And then eventually he got into college, and then eventually got into Johns Hopkins University, which is like huge, you know, in the medical field, and then ends up here working as the head of neurosurgery. He's amazing, and he is one of the most lovable, cheesy dad people I've ever met. He loves telling jokes. He's just so kind, and he works so hard. And on a personal level, he ended up treating one of my family friends for a brain tumor. And so to see him, obviously, like in a professional way where I'm interviewing him, I was like, man, this guy's amazing. His life story is incredible. And then I also got to see how he does treat his patients. And he's just he's their biggest cheerleader. He's great. And Brad Pitt's actually making a movie about his life in like the next few years or so. So, I mean, just talking, I could listen to that man talk forever. He's so insightful. he's just really inspirational and every cheesy sense of that word. He really is inspirational.
That is so awesome that
him.
you'd pick that as your most memorable. Because I was expecting like a musician or an act that.
But I was like,
through
I was
town.
expecting, me. Me.
I don't remember
C-section,
that one being on the list, but that's fine. No, it's just that I come from a family, like my mom's an immigrant. She came from Colombia, and even though like my dad, grew up in Puerto Rico, U.S. territory, it's technically American. Like I have a soft spot in my heart for these immigrant stories because it's not an easy thing to do. To leave your home country and come here and hope that you are going to really make a better life. And I grew up around people like that my entire life. Like I called my life the United Nations. I had friends from everywhere. And growing up in Orange Park
at that too.
It's such a it's surprisingly. I mean, granted, it was also like our church community and church, especially for a lot of Hispanics and for Filipinos. Like people are Catholic, and that's where you congregate. Like your people are at church, and you throw like potlucks together and stuff. But I mean, we had friends from all over the world, and so that kind of thing always really touches my heart because it's immigrating is a difficult thing to do, and to see him not only do it but to succeed in the biggest freaking way, it's always my favorite. It'll always be my favorite interview. I love that man.
I stopped bringing friends over because my mom tends to tell them the same immigrant story, and they look at me like like a poor innocent brown boy. So
wait, where's your mom from?
Morocco.
Ah,
so
I want to hear her story. Can me and your mom hang out?
It's like I've had Drew over to the house, and she's told him the story, and I usually just leave the house for like 2 hours and come back, and he's crying. He's like, "Yo, I'm so sorry you had to grow up that way." See, I'm dead serious. Like,
for real?
He has apologized to me, like, "Yo, I didn't know you had it like that." I said, "Fuck, what did mom tell him?"
Shit, Negro. I ain't gonna apologize to you because that shit probably happened to me too.
Yo, brown people unite!
I'll be like, yo, buddy, you a punk.
We're gonna start trying to one up each other's poorness,
right?
Yo, you broke as fuck. Sorry.
Yo, my parents used to smoke their fingers because they didn't even have cigarettes.
Your parents were lucky to have fingers. Mine ain't have no fingers.
Yo, you had a fucking lighter? Shit.
Oh my god.
2 sticks together. That's what we had, motherfucker.
Goodness gracious.
Not even 2 sticks. We had 1 stick. I had to break it in half.
That's right.
Hey, sorry about that. Technical difficulties, folks. I don't think our equipment can handle this much sass.
Stick 'em.
This much sass and this much brown people.
It's true. It fried.
We had some tech difficulties, but we're back. And
the computer was like, yo, I'm so poor, I don't work right now.
The computer was like, yo, I'm so white, I can't handle this right now.
My computer was like, y'all want to talk about broke? Okay, watch this, bro.
System failure.
It was radical, people. Catalina, what motivated you to add a podcast on top of your already very busy plate?
Delusions.
Yo,
straight up delusions.
Welcome to the club.
Because here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people know: we don't get paid to do the podcast. Like I get,
once again, welcome to the club.
Exactly. It's purely like a passion thing. Because granted, like it's sort of getting paid to do it, but the extra amount of work that goes into the podcast, I don't get paid.
Let me ask this: is the podcast hosted? Because it looks like it's hosted through like iHeart or KISSFM. Is it?
So it's a KISSFM podcast that because we're an iHeartRadio station, it automatically gets hosted on the app. The idea for it, obviously, like I said, it came from me and Jess just like catching up, and our conversations were, not to brag, but they were surprisingly insightful. That was like,
probably
let's do it.
I bet.
And also when I started in radio, I had so many people teaching me. Like I had these afternoon hosts, Dustin Cross and Brian LaRoche, where like I could always sit in on their show, not get paid, obviously, because come on, it's radio.
That's funny.
I could sit in and just learn from them. I could sit in with them every day. They would make me a part of their show. They would teach me everything. Jess hasn't really had that. Because when she got hired on, we were sort of like transitioning from an old host to the one that we have now. And, not every host has to do that. So our new one didn't do that for Jess, and it's not a big deal. But Jess and I have been friends for a few years now. And I was like, you know what? We could do this podcast, and this could also be a really good learning experience for you to learn how to be a better host, to learn how to produce. So it was just a combination of wanting to have those conversations that we had together, and also to teach Jess how to, get better at her job and really just grow as a host.
Okay.
And I get less sleep because of it, and it's fine. And it's totally fine. But it's been really, really cool because it ended up sort of being my saving grace, because on radio, I only get to entertain. You know, I don't get to say I don't get to have real talk on the radio because people
can't
are
be
there
saying head bitch in charge and stuff like that.
I mean, that I can say. Come on, Beyonce gave me the rights to say that whenever I want. So thanks. But I can never say
no FCC.
No, that's true. Oh, after 10. Safe harbor hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say.
I can
I'm saying
say,
as far as podcast wise, you don't got to worry
just
about that.
imagining-
no, but I do. That's the thing that sucks, is that my boss was like, think of it essentially as a radio show. If you can't say it on air, you can't say it in
I was
the podcast.
going to ask you that. Is there any difference in, like, for us, we're not reporting to anyone, but you
Clearly.
It's a Lost Boys Club here.
You though, you're
Rufio.
sponsored by KISSFM and Rufio. Are there restrictions in to the way that you run the podcast?
No, I mean, just no cussing, nothing
Fair enough.
offensive, just like the basic stuff. Thankfully, our management is all about creative freedom. That's why it's one of the best places I've ever worked, is that they encourage individuality and all kinds of creativity. And it's like, oh, if you want to do that, sure, go for it. You have our support.
I just imagine
problem.
you walking in with like Howard Stern like glasses.
God damn
Oh
it!
my
You're
God.
like, all right, Robin. Now bring in the boogerita. Now, what do you do with your microphone there? Oh, that's sexy. Oh, that's very nice.
Have you ever thought about? Have you ever entertained the idea of maybe moving to a larger metropolitan area with a larger, broader
Shit,
audience?
she's in radio. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I wasn't sure if the diehard
Yeah.
Jax love was like that.
I
was like,
love
fuck
this city.
no.
That's
Yes.
the thing, is like,
Where would you move to?
realistically,
Where would you move to?
I would really like to work in Atlanta.
Why?
Oh, bigger market.
Because Atlanta has such a cool vibe. So I've only, the first time I visited was
awesome.
last year, and I've been a few times since then, and I just really love that city. And granted, one of my best friend, Annie, lives there too. So it's purely selfish in that respect. But it's also really, it's like the Hollywood of the South.
We're gonna see you on CNN one day, aren't we?
Now you're going to catch me on
this is like-
HLN. Come on now.
This is like the Hispanic version of being Mary Jane.
Essentially. And the thing is, it is such a collaborative city. You think about how many shows and how many movies film in Atlanta. There's all kinds of opportunity there. So it's just a
There are
matter of me sucking it up and moving, because I'm terrified of moving.
That's how you know you should do it.
Yeah. And thing is, I have the most supportive partner in my boyfriend, Andrew.
There you go.
He's a bartender, and he's like, look, I can work wherever you go. It's like, just, let's go. He's been in Jacksonville almost his entire life too, and he's like, I don't want to live my entire life in one city.
Fair
so
enough.
let's go. I'll go with you wherever.
When I think of radio, I think of Hot 97. Because when I was growing up and I was really getting into like hip hop,
I mean,
Hot
that's
97.
not an iHeart station, but that's
You're
fine.
right. Shout out to iHeart. But I think Hot 97, like that's the only real radio station like I know, and like the Los Angeles. I forgot what the
New
Los
York?
Angeles one. No, there's Los Angeles
the
like
one
hip
in
hop
LA,
station.
yeah.
What are some like radio stations that you kind of look up to, or kind of look at and you're like, yo, I want to align with them?
I mean,
If you could.
Z100 in New York is it's like the mecca for us. You know, they do so much and they do it well. Like that is a well-oiled machine. And same thing with Kiss LA. Like I know that these are like they could be seen as like cookie cutter pop radio stations, but for me, I appreciate what they do behind the scenes. They put these events on like Jingle Ball concerts, and the artists respect them too. That's the thing, is like you can go to you can go to these stations' websites and get all kinds of original content from artists that really show up to their stations and do these really legit interviews. You know, they're not going to be bullshit interviews. They're going to be really cool, because like Elvis Duran, the host of Elvis Duran in the Morning Show that we
Right.
play on KISS, he's like our godfather of the station, and so many artists respect him. He's been around for so long. He's so relatable. He's real. He's not cheesy. He's fun. That's why I love that station so much, is that the talent they've had is just top notch. And I would love to work for them one day. Never even been to New York, but I'm like, yo, hire me, Z100, please. Maybe one day. You never know.
Yeah.
Me and C was having a conversation about, we were doing show prep, and we kind of got into a topic as far as radio's relevancy in today's day and age, when you have ever-evolving technology, but more importantly, the convenience of picking the type of station or subject matter that you want. I was wondering, what is your thoughts on the importance of radio today in that market where you've got podcasts and you can pick what radio station you want internationally on your phone?
Thing is, local radio will always be very unique, because you could be listening to you could be listening. Like, we're not dumb. We know that we compete with Spotify and Pandora and all that, and Tidal. But at the end of the day, you can't get the vibes that you get from a local radio station. We're in your community, and that's what we talk about. We celebrate the local. Like, are you going to hear someone on Spotify or on another podcast celebrating the fact that the Jags had the best season there in years? No, you're only going to hear that on a local radio.
Right.
And if that kind of thing matters to you, then support local radio all day, every day. And of course, like, who else is going to get you concert tickets? Me. So listen to local radio.
Really?
Should have said that.
Listen, it's bribing. I'm not full on. Like, yo, listen to my station. I'll get you tickets to events. Like, that's just how it works.
Look, when Kiss comes in town, I'm calling you.
I don't think.
Yo, real quick. Steve's gonna pull the teacher card. Yo, remember back in like high school?
Also,
No, it's gonna
don't
be-
fucking message me about
No.
getting like tickets because we were in high school together.
No,
if I
no.
don't talk to you,
It's gonna be
don't
some
talk to me.
old ass band. Like, hey, when's Foreigner coming? You're gonna be like,
Hey, 38
yo,
special?
dog. You're gonna be like, yo, dog. They died.
Yo, I can't give these tickets enough.
I heard Van Halen was touring. Yeah, on wheelchairs.
Or is it Leonard Skinner's on their farewell tour? It's supposed to take like 2 years. The longest goodbye.
Yeah, it's because they're gonna play Freebird after every show, and they're gonna be like,
Yo, I'll trade you 10 C-section mixtapes for one ticket.
Yo, that's fair. I would take the deal.
Yo,
take the deal.
give me 2. I'm happy there.
you passed.
Catalina, before we go on
Sorry,
break.
but one more point that I wanted to make about local radio is
Okay,
that,
okay.
and this is something that you only see around like hurricane season. Mm-hmm. When the power goes out, if the wind, the rain, all that knocks the power out, radio is like the last source that you have.
Yep.
And I've been lucky enough to be a part of our hurricane operations team at iHeart, and that shit's real. Like, people call us asking, because their power went out and all they have left is an emergency radio.
Did you ever work at the military?
Have I? Mm-hmm. Never.
With the radio at all?
Never. No. But this is where like my journalism training in college has really been put to use is during hurricane season, because people call and they're like, look, I don't know what shelter I'm supposed to go to. I don't know what gas stations are still left open. So, at the end of the day, when there's a hurricane coming down on us and you need information, radio is always there for you. It has to be. It's federally, like, it's federal law. We always have to be there for you in times of emergency. So.
I just want to get on there and be like, go towards the Waffle House, children. All are welcome.
No, damn it.
All are
the
welcome.
Waffle House Index. It's true.
I just imagine Catalina on there like, oh, now y'all want to listen, huh, motherfucker? Like 5 minutes of straight
No,
shit
you'd
talking
be
like,
surprised.
oh.
With a Kanye
It's true,
rant.
though. Where the press at? Where the press at?
I'm gonna let you finish real quick, but
Yo, never forget the Bonnaroo rant of 2013.
Yo,
Where the press at?
y'all was shit talking the radio forever. Oh, but now Maria's coming. Yo,
you ain't got the answers.
But it's so true. Like, you'd be surprised how many
Damn.
people, and they ask like what I do. I'm like, oh, I work in radio. It's like, oh, I don't listen to radio. Sick. Like, what do you do for a living? I don't do that. Like, why would you say that to someone?
Speaking of which, what are some like?
Hold on.
Go ahead, Steve, go ahead.
I'm sorry, that's funny. That's the best response I ever heard. It's like,
great.
Oh, I don't listen to radio. Well, I'm not a fucking doctor. Cool. We both don't do each other's jobs.
What do you make sandwiches? Great. I don't eat those either.
Thanks.
Great.
So, what are some common misconceptions about working in radio? Like, what do you normally get as like the stupid like go-to questions that you get when you tell them, "Yo, I work in radio"?
It's usually thinking I have like tickets to every concert ever in Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I guess I would never think that.
It's
but-
just not true. You'd be surprised. Like, oh, so you can hook me up with them tickets? No, bitch, I can't. I don't know you, first of all.
Do they all talk like that?
You got them tickets?
I feel like every creepy person just wormy like that.
And people think that my job is
Dragon Ball Z
easy.
character?
Yeah. No, that's the other thing is when people say like, "Oh, I could do your job," like you just sit in a room and talk.
What?
No, listen. The amount of mental power that it takes to sit in a studio by yourself for hours and entertain. We look like crazy people. You're sitting in a studio by yourself and talking to
Truth.
yourself.
I can vouch
It's
for
not
that.
easy, and there's so much planning.
I didn't even
and
think. I thought there was a
creativity.
whole team. Wow. This is
No,
news for me.
it's just me. At night, it's just me. You look at my Instagram stories, and it's just me being weird. Like, there's no one else in there. That's why I have to be on Instagram story, because it's like, I'm going to go crazy if I feel like I can't interact with anyone else right now. There are those days.
You walk out, hair not combed. Who's the president? What year is it?
What year is it? Is Waffle House still open?
Yo, they gonna be open for the rest of your life.
But I think as far as like other, I don't know, common misconceptions, that's a good one.
Is there any misconceptions about you being a female in radio? Is there anything that like maybe is unique to you being a female in radio? Much at that, an Hispanic female, a minority female in radio. Is there any like hurdles or anything you've had to like kind of go through?
I mean, radio is very much male dominated. There's way more male hosts than there are female, and there's definitely, as far as the females, there's more. There's not as many women of color as hosts. But thankfully, our company has really embraced the fact that the nation's population is 20% Hispanic, if not more at this point, and they're really pushing for more representation when it comes to hosts, and they're really supporting the just brown women in general who are hosting, and it feels really good, because not to like preach, but it's not. There's so many stereotypes that are put on brown women. Back in the day, there was like the cheesy DJs. Like that's just how it was back in the day. You had like a fake name, and you were almost like a persona as opposed to a person.
Sure.
And those stereotypes sometimes are expected from us. Like I remember when I first started, someone asked me like, "Oh, so is your name going to be like Lady Latina?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just Catalina. Like it's just me. I'm not going to be here like pretending to have a Hispanic accent. Like it's just going to be me."
Ugh.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's weird. I was going to do that. I was going to be a Hispanic lady. that wasn't me, my personality. It would have been Lady Midnight, and I'd be like, "Yo, papi, listen, okay?
If you broke your heart, you can call me. It's okay. We're going to talk about it. It's Lady Midnight."
That's how it is.
But that's the thing, is that the stereotypes were just, they were used for so long in radio that, it feels really good now to know that we're celebrated by being ourselves.
Good.
Because when I had asked you about some of your influences, you mentioned a few, it sounded like Hispanic female broadcasters.
Wolfman Jack.
Which has been the theme on this show, especially when we talk about comic books and some of the characters. There's always usually a lot of press when it comes to like a character that's representing a minority group. Yeah, that's my neighbor.
Is your neighbor having a party right now?
Yeah, my neighbor is always throwing a motherfucking party. So I'm glad to see that it transcends, not just comic books. Representation, period, is important in all facets.
Oh, it matters so much. So much.
So I'm going to wrap up this unless he's got another question. But
I'm going to let you finish.
Go ahead, Kanye.
No, just joking.
Advice for amateur podcasters or radio folks that want to do radio.
I mean, the first step is to kind of like talk to someone like me who's in it. And don't be shy. Reach out on social media. Social media has changed the way that you can contact people. Now you don't have to hunt for an address and hope to God that it's the right one. You can just reach out on social media and be like, "Hey, what advice do you have?" Or like, "I'm thinking of using this microphone to start podcasting. What do you think?" And if the person's not an asshole, they'll respond. And most likely, that's the thing, is like, we are such a very supportive industry, because radio isn't easy. It's a small world. It's a competitive world. And we want new talent. We want younger talent to come in and be better than us. And so just reach out. You can always reach out and just do it. Like, people are so worried about the equipment that they have and the programs that they have. Like, you can use free programs online, or you can buy like super cheap shit and just do it. Just do it.
I'll add on to that because I get asked so many times like, "Hey, I want to start my own podcast. What do you recommend for equipment, sound, programs, etc.?" And I'm like, "Yo, all of that is like, you just buy the shit on Amazon." The thing is, the consistency is going to be like what kills you. Either you're going to come to a point where you're like, "Yo, no one's listening. I need to stop," or you're going to break through that wall. So that's really nice to hear.
I think personality comes through too.
Yeah, you got to be funny or something.
Especially when you're talking about something that you really like.
There has to be.
Like, don't pretend to be someone else. Don't pretend to be interested in something that you're not. Just do what you know.
Right.
And people will be interested.
Yep.
That's it.
Do you, boo-boo.
And have a good voice.
Do you,
Sorry.
boo-boo.
Also,
God, I wish I had your voice. Even as a woman, I'm like,
yo,
dang.
Please don't blow his head up. He gets that all
I know, but I can't
I was going to
help
say-
it. Come on. I'm already in my head. I'm like, yo, do you want to read a couple commercials for us next week or something?
Yes.
Real quick, you got to go through 10% me.
Yo. Hold on. I don't get
this
paid.
is radio. You're not getting paid.
Yo, I don't get
That's
paid.
not how that works.
But
You don't got to tell me. I know radio.
Bobata had the best contract on
You can have the chocolate that's in my desk drawer.
Yo, what? That's more than I could have asked for.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Really?
Almond Joys?
I'll give him the emergency chocolate. Yeah.
Okay.
Yo,
my stress
okay.
chocolate.
Have
You
seed.
can have it.
Yo, have him.
What the fuck is this, indentured servitude?
Take him off my hands.
What the fuck is this? Django?
Catalina, do you have any and I'll let you plug at the second half of the show, but do you have any events or anything that you want to shout out right now? Because I think there's an event in April that you're speaking, right?
Yeah,
you're
so
a guest speaker.
Shit, I already forgot the date. The Hangover, it ruins everything. Hold on, let me open up the calendar. It is in April. So Generation W is this organization that's all about supporting women, and they have this leadership conference, which, you know, like the words leadership conference, you think, oh, how bland, like that doesn't sound exciting. But it is. Donna Orender is the CEO of Generation W, and she is the most electric person that I've ever met. Like 10 minutes with Donna and you feel like you could take on the world. You feel like you could run a marathon. She's so encouraging and just amazing. So they started this leadership conference, and it's going to be at UNF on April
13. My money's on 13.
How did you know?
Yo, because I pay attention when people talk.
Shit, it's the Hangover. Don't. Anyway, so it's an all-day conference. They're bringing in amazing speakers. One of them is me, which was very nice.
Yo, fantastic.
Ooh, I spoke. So they have Generation W, which is for women, and they have Generation Wow, which is for younger girls. The same idea is to, you know, let women know that they have an inner strength that they can bring out at any time and do whatever they want. And so I spoke at the Generation Wow conference, and it was terrifying. You know, talking to an auditorium full of teenage girls. Woo! I thought I was gonna pass out.
It must have been mad different being in a studio alone versus actually like seeing who the hell you're talking to.
Oh yeah, I think I did live TV for 3 years, like no problem. But walking out into an auditorium full of teenage girls was terrifying. But they were really receptive, and the message was, you know, me, we, us. And that's what I'm bringing to Generation W again, is that we do, like, as people, we have our differences, and in the climate that we're in right now, people are incredibly divided. But it's important to remind people that sometimes our differences make us more alike than we think, and it's important to pay attention to that. So April 13th, you can sign up at, I believe it's generationw.com. And if it's a little pricey day, I'll be honest, but you can save up for it. You know, don't drink wine for like maybe a week. Or you can always ask your boss, your company to sponsor you, and it's so worth it. Like, just come out, watch me possibly stutter my way through a speech. But it really is an amazing day.
Fantastic.
I love it.
So people can catch you on the night shift on 97.9 KISS-FM.
Yeah.
They can subscribe to the podcast, But First Brunch, right?
But First Brunch on the iHeartRadio app.
And then JTA's got their Making Moves TV. Is it a TV series?
Yeah. So JTA has this show called Making Moves. It's their transportation news show. And I host their series called Around Town, where I take you to these cool places around Jacksonville that you could use public transportation to get to. And I was actually, what was the last one that we did? Damn it, this hangover is going to be the death of me. I'm so sorry, you guys. But one of my favorite ones that we did for that was Sunray. Because Sunray is such a cool gem in the middle of 5 Points and in Jacksonville that it was really fun to feature that. So that's all we do. We feature cool places around Jacksonville that more people should know about.
Fantastic. All right, folks. Check this out. Let's take a break and play some music. We'll play by Mecca the Marvelous. And I want to say, if you're looking for custom instrumentals or music, hit them up. We got a link for his SoundCloud and contact information on our website.
AKA Kid Toots and Comment. AKA
shortboxjacks.com. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. Enjoy the music.
Go on and cry. Be glad that you are free. Go on and cry.
Catalina, so at the root of all of this, we are a comic book and pop culture podcast.
No, what? Really?
So we've got nerdy tendencies. And when we had the Babies Who Hustle on, Chelsea and Mara, we had to ask them, what are your nerdy tendencies? I think when I had reached out to you and was like, yo, be prepared to ask.
It doesn't have to be comic booky.
No, it doesn't.
Though.
But yo, she's got a really good one, and I'm hoping you bring it up, but I'm going to let you answer that.
Okay.
Catalina, being a nerd is kind of been like chic now. It's kind of like cool to be a nerd. Do you have any like nerdy things that people don't know about?
Yeah, I love movies, and I specifically love movies that are terrible. Like movies that everyone else thinks are terrible. And I love the movie Street Fighter.
Yes.
It's so
Come
bad.
on,
Jean-Claude Van Damme is one
terrible.
of the cheesiest guys out there.
First off, let's not talk shit about Jean-Claude.
No,
Not
Blood
talking
sport?
shit, but come on,
No,
yo,
I'm just joking.
that
Put
scene
Some
at the-
respect on my name. Hold on. Some respect
I'm
on that
more
name.
upset that Raul Julia's in the movie as M. Bison. I was like, no, Raul, no, you're not from Thailand. What the fuck, dude?
Listen, representation didn't matter when that movie was made.
No,
Clearly.
No, it did not.
At all.
Fucking Blanca. What?
And the makeup. It's so good. The makeup, like, what was he covered? It just looked like if you had taken Nickelodeon slime and just turned it into
let it dry.
rubber.
You like
and just
let it dry
dry
for like 2 weeks.
So ugly.
All right, we good. What do you like about that movie? Like,
Just
what's the redeeming
dialogue.
factor?
The dialogue is so bad that it's supposed to be this like fun action movie, and I'm cracking up the whole damn time.
Hold on. How did you get exposed to this movie?
My brother Nicolas is way more nerdier
There we
than
go.
I am. Like the only reason I knew about like X-Men comics and all that growing up was because my brothers
yo,
had it.
shout out to your brother.
Shout outs to my brothers, Andres and Nicolas, especially Nicolas, who is the nerd in the family.
Right.
And like I think he had, I can't remember if he was the one that told me about it or whatever, but I had like a DVD copy of Street Fighter for a while.
Damn, a DVD copy.
It was like
Someone's
one of
a little
those movies.
bougie. All right.
Listen, it's not my fault. I'm classy.
Let's try and calm down.
Yo, for real. Y'all gonna break the computer again. The computer's gonna be like,
the
oh,
computer's gonna get mad.
y'all getting racial?
Oh god. Oh god.
Y'all getting stereotypes?
Y'all too basic.
Oh god, if I start talking about Gossip Girl, that computer's gonna just
XO,
spontaneously
what you know about
combust.
Chuck Bass?
Yo, Chuck Bass is the worst. Don't even get me started. Don't.
Sweet.
I've been
Mother
binge watching that
God.
whole show.
wrong
I got
with
my boyfriend hooked to it, which is actually really funny. But don't get me
Yo,
started.
Chuck Bass is a little bitch.
Chuck Bass is the biggest
Yo,
bitch.
I heard through the grapevine.
I hate the way he talks. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about this.
No, go ahead. You had indulged
Every
in
time he's
Gossip
like,
Girl. I didn't know this about you.
I have to pee. It's like, just talk normally. Like, no one speaks in dramatic pauses. Just talk. And it's like you're in New York. Doesn't everyone talk a mile a minute in New York? Speed the fuck up.
Isn't,
Take normal breaths.
It's Kristen Bell, right? Isn't she the
The
narrator?
voice of Gossip Girl.
Do you know who it is yet? Has anyone spoiled that for you?
I spoiled it for myself.
God damn it.
I did. Thing is, like, I stopped watching when it was airing. I stopped watching it at season 2. And then I spoiled it for myself last year. I looked it up and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a cop out and doesn't make any sense. But sure, let's jump the shark, Gossip Girl.
I'm
Fine.
sorry, I can't believe I'm having a conversation about
Yo,
this.
I cannot believe
fuck
this shit either.
No,
Fucking
don't.
Slayer. And
No. You
and,
will never.
and Hungry
Judas.
Man frozen TV dinners.
Judas Priest in
Yo, you're
baseball.
never going to live this down. Catalina, I heard through the grapevine that you were a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
Yo, and that's fine because C is also a very large Harry Potter fan.
Now, I'm actually freaking out because I'm going to Universal Studios tomorrow with my family. And
Have you ever been to Harry Potter World?
I have. And
Right, good.
I've been like 3 times, I think. And I'm excited to go back again.
Do you have a wand?
I don't.
You had a cloak?
Listen, I'm a broke bitch. I'm not trying to buy a $40 wand.
Whatever. You're
no,
like the
no.
head H.B.I.C.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Title only, though.
Wait.
The pay did not come with the promotion.
No little Kim benefits.
If you could get a wand, whose wand would you buy?
Oh, God. If they sold the Elder Wand, that'd be sweet. But I don't think they do.
What house do you belong to? I know you've taken the test.
I did, and it's oh God, it's not Ravenclaw. It's
I was about to say you look like a Ravenclaw.
Hufflepuff?
I'm a Hufflepuff, which I was
Really?
I was very surprised. And I took it on Pottermore, so it's supposed to be legit. But I'm like, all right, if you say so.
Guess.
Don't smirk like you're a
Just-
Ravenclaw. No, Gryffindor.
Come on.
Are you a Gryffindor? Slytherin?
Ew.
Death upon you.
Are you that-
Death upon your
No,
family.
check that.
Are you that surprised?
No, not at all. You
Cunning
snake.
above all else.
Okay, all right. You sleazy.
Cunning above
Yo,
all
real quick.
else.
Our mutual friend Adam had posted, on like Facebook right now, it's like they take your friend list and put them in like the different schools.
Right.
I ended up being on Hufflepuff, and I almost messaged him, who the fuck you calling Hufflepuff?
No, it's an honor because I'm in there and I don't understand
and now
why.
I feel
but,
honored. I feel honored now.
Now we're in. We're in the
there.
same one. Good to have friends. Slytherin people suck ass, but whatever.
You know what?
cool.
Your nerdy
Yeah.
tendencies are kind of cool, though. I mean, that Street Fighter movie was shit, but it's kind of cool to look back. Look, real quick. That Street Fighter movie had a fantastic soundtrack, though, because they had a song with MC Hammer and Deion Sanders. And they had a music video. Yes, look up the soundtrack. One of their key songs they put out, or one of the hits they put out, was a Deion Sanders and an MC Hammer joint. And
Deion Sanders, the football player?
yes. Deion Sanders had a rap career.
And baseball players.
What?
Yes. And it's him and MC. I can't remember the name right now. It escapes me. But there's a music video out for it.
And he was a pastor for a little bit.
Like, that music's... Yes.
Reverend
yes,
Deion
yes.
Sanders.
Seriously, I think.
Oh, my
I
God.
think he is a reverend.
Like,
So-
still?
No, I don't think still, but...
Yeah, do you,
what
do
happened?
you just
You get-
lose that title once, like,
What happened?
is there an
don't know.
expiration
I mean, what-
date if you don't go to a
There's
pulpit
no
on a
ac-
weekly
Yeah,
basis?
there's no
Yo,
expiration
Mace was a pastor. He ain't a pastor no more.
Mace?
Yes, that's why he left the rap game.
He's still a reverend. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he left the rap game after... Oh, you guys are about to give me like hip-hop shit. Okay, so he left the rap game after Biggie died, and he became a pastor in Atlanta. And then he came
Did he
back...
have like a vision like, ugh, you need to preach the gospel?
That'd be if Biggie was like...
That's what I'm saying. Like, Biggie came to him in a dream. And like, I'll be missing you was playing in the background.
Real quick. I got a friend right here. He is not a fan, John Beatty, is not a fan of Mace because he's like, yo, it sounds like Mace raps with mashed potatoes in his mouth. Who wanted to start?
Shout out to Beatty.
Yo, shout out to John Beatty for that. But,
So Mace is Cuban. Yeah.
there's like Cuban demographic right there.
What?
There goes the 2 Cuban listeners
Right.
you had. They
2.
are gone.
Damn, Pitbull and insert other Cuban.
Camila Cabello, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You know what?
The
I want to
ghost
move
of Celia
on.
Cruz.
Oh, ouch. Ooh, sorry about that.
You know,
wanted to
I
move
went to her
on.
funeral.
Go ahead.
It was one of the coolest things ever.
Okay, we're not taking over this conversation because I will
Sorry.
literally talk about Celia
Sorry.
Cruz's funeral, but we're talking
Were
about
you
this
there?
later. No, I wasn't there, but I watched it on TV.
Yeah, I was in New York at the time.
Oh my
And you went?
God.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Was it like a
That's
requirement?
insane.
The streets.
I didn't get an email from latinosunidos.com saying
An
to be
email
there.
from Latin Review.
Look,
Like,
look.
see, you only gets.
Look, it was just a matter of
Oh,
coincidence.
bullshit, motherfucker.
Look,
You bought them tickets specifically for this funeral.
like I look
Referred
like
himself a spot on the funeral procession street
He was
right
like,
there.
well, my Hispanic card is about to be renewed for another 7
I
years.
look like Denzel in Malcolm X when he's like this. Just like walking solemnly.
Wait, were you
bro.
in the procession?
No, I saw it go by. Like I saw her body, took pictures and everything. Like this is crazy, dude.
You took pictures. Wow.
I didn't freaking get on top of the damn corpse. Jesus Christ.
Celia, smile.
Right, I wasn't like fucking singing
Sweet guy. See,
El Gran Combo. Wow.
See, we got an email. I'd like to get to that portion. And we can address this later about you and these pictures of funerals. See, we got an email. I'd like to go.
It's not like I'm Ashley. Anyway, hey, guys and gals.
It's from Matt Vigo, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, from our friend Matt Vigo. I wanted to say I appreciate the hell out of you guys for playing my second place winning, no shame in my game, beat at the end of the Toriyama episode. Speaking of which, segue, my favorite part in all Dragon Ball has got to be where Vegeta steps to the androids, goes Super Saiyan, and rips 19's arms off. He rarely gets to shine, but I love it when he does. Sincerely, I thank you guys for the play, and I gotta say, I'm loving the Spotlight episodes from Matthew Vigo. Well, Matt, thanks for emailing.
Yo,
We
Matt,
love it.
shout outs. And, so what happened was last episode, our listener, Matt Vigo, he submitted he sent us a beat because we've got like in-house producers that give us, like, make music for the show. And he was entering a beat battle that we had highlighted on the show. It was happening at Nighthawks. He was like, yo, I'm going to enter it because you guys spotlighted on the show.
Yep.
Here's the beat. And we were like, yo, let's just use it for the show.
Right.
So it turns out we had made a joke because we were like, well, we haven't heard back from him, so I wonder what happened to him. Did he lose? Did he win? But he came in second place, and there's no shame in that at all. So shout outs, Matt. Like, congrats and keep it up.
That's so cool.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, fantastic.
I love it. You guys have the best fans, the most engaging, interactive fans. I really like that. That's cool. That says a lot about you guys too.
We love them.
For sure.
They stop
for real,
emailing us after they meet me. Like, after they meet me, they're like, what the?
They're like, yo, butter, fuck this.
Yo, with your Pokemon name, shit.
See you in the streets, bring them cards.
Yo, I ain't fucking with you, Yu-Gi-Oh.
I can't wait to use it on like just randomly.
Please
My
don't.
boyfriend's gonna wonder why I'm using butter.
I don't need you to.
Yo, I'll bring it out.
But I will.
That.
I'm gonna
don't.
make it a thing. It's great.
Hey, butter.
No, it's great
High
because
school all
I'm
over
finally
again.
not the one getting
Wait,
made
did
fun
they
of.
really say that to you in high school? I was on the way
they
here.
didn't.
No, legit.
They couldn't even pronounce my name. It was like, hey, the guy with the B word.
Look,
Yo, straight up. If we're gonna
Name
share
games.
brown people's struggles in high school, when I had substitute teachers, they'd go through the list. John here,
my God,
Mary
same.
here, and then I knew my name was up because they would
When the
pause,
pause.
and they'd be like, and everyone else would chime in for me.
Dude,
it's Botter. Dude, like, everyone else would do it.
same experience for me. Same experience, and it was
But yours is Caesar.
CESAR, right?
Yeah.
You would think.
Kazar.
Oh, I've heard everything. Quasar, scissors,
See, that's what I never understood. Bitch, you're just adding random letters in there that aren't in there.
cesspool, like fucking.
Wait, what was awesome?
Someone called me Caitlin, and I'm like, you didn't even bother reading.
Like
you didn't even bother reading
Yeah,
the
they
name.
don't even try.
Like, try.
Like the pause is there. I'm just kind of like, yo, don't even
Yeah,
bother.
exactly.
I'm here.
It's
I
me.
know I'm here.
it's right. It's me.
Botter, water with a B.
But I was thinking
That's
on the way here, I was like, I wonder what they called him in high school. Like the mean kids who were just trying
Aladdin.
to do little shits. Oh,
Yo,
did
Aladdin.
they really?
They called me Aladdin
like
for sure.
Batman.
Nerd. Get the hell out of here. Typical names.
The usuals.
Yo, but so we finished emails, and you usually know what time that means. I mean, you know what time that is. It's the last portion of our show. We're kind of sad to get to this, but yo, we're here. I want to go ahead and jump into our infamous champion season. Champion season, for you first time tuning in, is the segment of the show where we go around the table and everyone gets a chance to highlight a few things within pop culture that's really resonated with us. So this could be a movie, a television series, a book, etc. It's something that we feel, hey, this is dope and you should check it out. Catalina, we have a rule. Guests go first. What are you going to champion today?
No pressure. That's fine. So the first thing is the show on Netflix called One Day at a Time. It's a reboot of a Norman Lear show from I think it was the 70s, 80s, but they rebooted it with a Cuban family, a Cuban-American family. And the first season came out last year, and it's a great show. I think even someone who's not Hispanic can just relate to how crazy the family is, because everyone's got, family dysfunction and
No
all that.
family is perfect. No such thing.
But I love how they talk about immigration and Hispanic identity. The girl in the family, she talks about how she's this social activist, and she comes out as gay in the first season, and she's super active, and she's so worried about how she comes across as a white girl instead of a Cuban. She's like, I'm passing. It's so self-aware. It's amazing. And I got so into the show. I cried legit tears on the second to last episode of the second season. It came out, I think, last month, and I just finished it. It's just so good. It's like seeing someone's writing identify with things going on in your own life, with your own family, as a Latino, and it's so good. And it's hysterical. Rita Moreno is the grandmother.
Okay.
Yo, Abuelita is the hero of that whole show. She's hysterical. And it's so important to celebrate your heritage and those kinds of things.
Jeez, she's the grandma?
She's the grandma.
Wow.
But her character is so uppity. She's this bougie, sweet old lady who has to remind everyone at all times that she is Cuban and she is fabulous, and it's hysterical. It's so good. I mean, I recommend anyone to watch it. And the second thing I champion is food, of course, because I love eating, and I love, as always, repping Jacksonville. There's a new restaurant that just opened called Crane Ramen. The original location is in Gainesville, and it gained so much popularity. They looked at Jacksonville as a second location, and it just opened in 5 Points, and it's really good. And they take such care in what they make too. Like my boyfriend, full disclosure, my boyfriend's one of the bartenders there, so he's the one with the mustache. Go give him your money, let him make you a cocktail, and then the money will go to me, hopefully.
Well done.
Maybe. But so he's been telling me.
Damn it!
I call it so in Spanish we go like the term of endearment is like mijo and mica. So my boyfriend calls me Mika as a joke. And I call when he comes home with like cash from a bartending shift. I'm like, yo, where's the mija tax? And he says it's not a real thing, but I swear it is.
It's real.
It's real. Like I'll get my cut somewhere or the other. But he's taught me so much about the amount of love and care that goes into what they've made. So the executive chef studied in Japan for like 11 years. Damn. And that broth is made like 24/7. Like it's constantly brewing, and the ingredients are so high quality, and the price point is what kills me, because everything about these dishes are so high quality, and you can get a bowl of ramen for like $12, and it's so good.
And it's not
super,
like,
super good.
yo, real quick, anyone listening is like, ramen, I could just, cop a box of
This ain't top ramen.
This is not.
Nah.
This is Kingsley ramen, as Peyton Locke would have said. This is Kingsley ramen, all right? Like, top notch. But
Yeah, like legit, just made amazing.
I've already accepted, because I live so close, to 5 Points. I was excited. I was like, yo, I'm going to go try Crane ramen. No, I've accepted I'm going to wait at least 3 weeks, because the line outside that place
Oh, yeah. It's not.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. But I mean,
Fucking ridiculous.
Thank you, Rizza.
You're welcome.
But I've already warned my boyfriend, like, I'm going to be in there all the time. You better come home with, like, steamed buns at least once a week.
Whoa, ma'am, please.
Steamed buns.
Steamed buns.
Steamed buns.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because on top of the ramen, they've got, like, other really delicious, like, homemade kimchi, house-made kimchi.
What?
Ooh.
Hold on now.
That's just good. I'm telling you.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Kryptonite.
I'm hungry, so.
I'm a fan of the Korean sauerkraut, a.k.a. kimchi.
Dang, that is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fermented cabbage. Korean cabbage.
Korean cabbage. But it's perfectly
It's
spicy.
bomb.
It's bright. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Super good. You guys
Yeah.
would love it.
Yeah.
See, what do you got, the champion, man?
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you guys so much. Yo, finally, that shit feels so good to finally turn the tables on you.
You wait.
I'm so glad I was here to witness that. That was great.
I've been waiting months. The motherfuckers do that shit.
How's
to
it
me
feel, huh?
all
How's
the
it
time.
feel?
Yo,
How's it
honestly,
feel? Nobody cares. Thanks for listening to the show.
Oh, shit. I'm out. I'm leaving. Whoa.
Super hot fire. I'm not a rapper. I'm not a rapper.
and he won't be a podcaster after today.
Oh, shit. Fool, I don't.
Oh, my God. Are you guys breaking up right now?
We
never
couldn't
that.
if we tried.
He got me by the
We got custody battles tied up in the legal system. It's not even fair. It really isn't.
You got your own Mija tax to worry about.
For real.
Go ahead. See what you got for real, though.
I'm going to say, 1, Kill or Be Killed. I know I'm late to the train on Kill or Be Killed, but Ed
Super.
Brubaker and fucking Sean Phillips knocking it out the park. Outstanding. Artwork is incredible. The story is surprisingly good, because I kind of went into it with a skeptical attitude, as I do with most recent sort of comic books. And I don't know why, because I love Brubaker, period, and it's been a while. Like, I'm like, yeah, his work on Daredevil was awesome. And you're like, dude, that was fucking years ago.
Stop being old.
I'm like, what?
Real quick, I wanted to ask, in case someone is interested, could you give like a one sentence?
I was about to.
Okay,
I was
my bad,
about
my bad,
to.
my
Let me
bad.
get to it there. Read it for Christ's sake. So, Kill or Be Killed starts out with a guy who wants to kill himself. He's standing on top of a building, and he's talking about how his girl, that is like his best friend growing up. Of course, it's like, it kind of plays off like unrequited love, like he really has a thing for her, and he's not going to tell her because it would ruin the friendship. But another one of his friends starts seeing her, and he's just kind of like, this is really just not how I envision my life. And people are just shitty, and he overhears them kind of talking about him. It's like, yeah, I really feel sorry for him. It's like, it's not the fact that one of his friends is becoming more intimate with his best friend that he doesn't like. It's the fact that his best friend thinks that he's pathetic, because she thinks that he's like in the friend zone, as it were. And he's like, no, I just value you as a friend, and you're not my friend anymore. And then he just basically says, fuck this. I hate life. I'm going to end it. He jumps off a building, and he says, like, it's funny because the way they say it, like, if you can believe it, I hit a clothesline with some cloth on the way down. And then I hit another clothesline with blah, 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 and basically survives a fall from like 8 stories. And he's like, shit, whoo, I can't believe I did that. And I'm alive. He's like, I can't even kill myself right, you know? So he goes back, and there's a demon waiting for him in his room. And the demon says, you're going to fucking kill for me. 1 life a month. Think of it like rent. And he's like, why? He's like, because you tried to take your life. So the life you couldn't take belongs to me. Just think of it like rent. And he's like, how do I know you're real? This is a fucking hallucination. The demon basically pins his arm back and like breaks it. And he's like, real enough for you? And then leaves. So now this guy's like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I do this? And he's like, I don't care what you do. Like, it's like, there's shitty people everywhere. Just kill shitty people. And he's like, how do I do that? And he's like, open your eyes. You didn't have a problem seeing it before. And then the demon just goes. So now it's like it turns from a weird sort of introspective psychological drama to a crime noir story where you have this dude who's like, fuck. Like now he's like trying to figure out on the internet how to find these weirdos. And he's like, Ed Brubaker has a wonderful outlet to show how someone, if they were going to be a vigilante, would do it. And he's like, a lot of cops show up afterwards. They never you feel like, oh, just, cops, just listen to the police scan or whatever. It's like, they always show up after it's done. My job is to try and find all these shitbags before. So he has to, he's been studying, analytical detectives. So that way they can look and be like, okay, that's a person that I got to keep an eye on. And then, he ends up killing, some dude who's involved in a child pornography ring. But he doesn't know it until towards the end of the month. And he's like, oh, thank God, I didn't kill an innocent person, But he's starting to see the demon every now and then, and his friend, she's kind of she knows him, so she's like, what is going on? And he's like, how do you tell somebody I have to kill someone I have to kill 1 person a month because a demon told me to. He's like, there's no way anyone's going to believe me. So. The art is amazing. It's photorealistic. The lighting is great. Colors are awesome. And I just got the second trade today in the mail, along with my Tenacious D Pick of Destiny guitar picks, which leads me to my second champion, which is the Tim Armstrong signature guitar from Gretsch. I am super happy to have purchased it. It is a hollow body, beautiful guitar, and the first thing I did was play Rancid's Ruby Soho on it, because why not? And I think that's going to do it for me.
Yeah, I need to pick up that comic. That sounds legit.
I'll let you borrow the first trade.
So here's the thing about, because I've championed it when it first came out, but it was not as elegant as that. For me, it was like, you guys should check out Killer Be Killed. It's good. I was like, yo, it's good. Moving on. But C just painted it very elegantly, and I got to back him up. That shit is fantastic.
Yo, Image, hire me.
Yeah.
I'll be your hype man. I'll be your hype man.
Damn, that was good, C. I'm going to go and champion a fellow podcaster, and he's been on the show, I think, 2 or 3 times.
His name's Butter Milligan.
Yo, I'm always going to champion Butter Milligan, because that motherfucker is...
I'm the best, B.
Butter way west, as the streets would call me. No, Al Letson and Willie Evans, who we've had on the show 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
They have a podcast that's called...
Al Letson is an Al...
Al Letson.
Al Letson?
Yeah.
Earthing.
Are you
Earthing.
serious?
Yeah.
I would die if I met him.
Are you for real?
No, for real.
Yo, he's a really good... I'm not trying to brag or anything, but he's been on the show. He's a really approachable
New
guy.
York.
Listen, the
Comic-Con.
next time this happens, I'm going to need a text from one of you
Hold on.
guys
Oh,
so I can
for
come
sure.
here and just stare in awe.
He's
like a huge nerd.
He saw me at New York Comic Con and was like, hey. And I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, my
Wrong.
God.
He was like, do I know you?
Fucking don't even say that. Al
But
would
no,
never do that.
Al Letson and Willie Evans, who are super humble, approachable, and everything. They have a podcast called The Earthing Show, and when it first came out, I had championed them. But season 2 is coming out, and the premise of the show is it's basically a mixtape of everything. Earthing. It's like radio drama. It's interviews. It's
There's stories too, right?
Stories. It's like pop culture reviews. We're familiar with Al Letson,
right?
NPR,
And
fantastic. He's a poet. He's a playwright. Just a kind of a Renaissance man. And I think when he first came on the show, we had titled him the busiest man in Jax.
That's true.
He's got so much going on. But season 2 of Earthing is coming back out. Season 1 was like 6 episodes, which was really unique to see I mean, it's outlets, and I'm not that surprised, but someone to put so much thought into a podcast.
If you really want to just, let's say you get home from work and you sit down and you turn on the TV and you immerse yourself into whatever show you watch, and slowly but surely you start to unwind. That feeling you get, you can immediately achieve if you just buy some headphones and you put them in your ear and you play a single episode of Earthing. They're not long.
No, not at all.
You put them in and you listen, and Al will take you on a audio journey.
Absolutely.
A theater of the mind, if you will. This guy is incredible. Like Butter said, the show is amazing, and I can attest to that because I like hearing Al speak. And on top of that, even if I didn't know him, his stories are compelling. And him and Willie make great, they make great, co-hosts.
Willie Evans,
/
exactly, co-host, and he produces the music for the show. But
it's an experience. It's not just a show. It's outstanding.
Season 2 starts. It starts March 23rd, and the rollout they've had for it has been fantastic. Because I think it was Friday when I started seeing all the ads, all the shares on social media. I'm excited. I know that Al Letson and Willie both started avoiding me because I'm going
to make that my champion too.
No, I would bother them when I'd see Willie Evans at Nighthawks or when Al was in town. I'd be like, "Yo, when is Earthing season 2 coming out? I need more episodes. Where can I get episodes?"
You're scratching, "Hey, dog,
I need more."
So when I saw this, I got that scratch, or I got that itch scratch. So that was going to be my first champion. And the second thing I'll champion is an art gallery, or a gallery going on at Mocha. It's called Project Atrium. It features Pakistani American artist, and I'm going to screw the name up, which is funny because, Anila Quayum Agha, and I apologize if the name is all sorts of messed up, but she's got a feature at Mocha right now, and it kind of involves, it's her take, she's addressing her concerns with the current political environment in the United States towards immigration of people of color. She uses light and she casts shadows to transform the Atrium Gallery into a place that eludes Islamic sacred spaces, and geometric ornamentation and patterns, and it's just gorgeous. When you go there, it's just incredible to see it in person. I think I posted some pictures up on my Instagram or some shit, but to see it in person is ridiculous. For me, it was. It resonated because it looked like something from pictures my mom would show me in Morocco and some of the temples that she's been to and etc. So to have this in Jacksonville and the rollout, because I went on opening night, was fantastic. So I recommend it. You can go see it free on Art Walk. You can go to Mocha and walk in there and stuff like that. So it's the main exhibit. It's right there on the first floor. It's fantastic.
How long is it going to be there?
I think it is there until...
Because usually Project Atrium, whatever exhibition they bring in, lasts a while.
It does, and I don't have that date, unfortunately, but I imagine it'd be just like when, Sean Thurston. I think when Sean Thurston had it.
Yeah, that was a couple months, wasn't it?
That landed a while, so I imagine it'll be a good bit, but... Our walk's first Wednesday of every month, so check it out there. Mocha's free. So those will be my two champions, Earthing and Project Atrium. Catalina, I want to say it has been a fantastic interview.
Absolutely.
And time with you.
Stop it, you
a
guys.
pleasure.
This has been so
absolutely.
fun.
Yo,
good.
I feel like I'm with my people. You guys are weird and quirky, and I love it.
We have arrived.
I am so tempted to call this episode #Brown People Problems. But
I think it was Chelsea that was she said, "Looks like we made it, ha ha ha." Or you the one that said, somebody was like, "Looks like we made it."
that sounds more like a Chelsea thing.
I am so happy to be in the presence of someone that appreciates Jax as much as us in a professional capacity. And you're out there representing for women and women of color, and just being a really dope radio broadcaster and a podcaster as well. We're fellow podcasters.
That's actually on her resume.
Yeah, dope.
And of course,
It just
H.B.I.C.
says
and
dope.
H.B.I.C.
Ma'am, it says here you're a dope MC. We'd like to hire you.
Also, we'd like to ask what this means. H.B.I.C. And I let him know real quick. Head bitch in charge.
Boom.
Hire me.
You've got
Catalina,
the job.
this is your chance to shout out and plug anything that you've got going on.
Go ahead.
Or where can people find you? Give it to us.
You can find me on social media everywhere, Catalina on Air. I guess by the time this comes out, when is this coming out?
I'll put it out like tomorrow.
All right, sick. So technically it's Monday. Leading Ladies 904 actually features. They have this campaign called 52. They're featuring game-changing women in Jacksonville every week throughout the year. And they made me one of the women, which was really, really an honor. Tony Hernandez, who is the CEO of Leading Ladies, she's such a champion for women in Jacksonville, like just doing things, you know. And she's such a badass. She's Puerto Rican too, which made me love her even more. So she featured me. So go and check out the rest of that. Taylor Richardson was the first woman they featured, and Taylor Richardson is a 14-year-old girl who advocates for more girls in STEM. She's raised money she had a campaign last year to send 1,000 girls to see Hidden Figures because she wants more girls to realize they can be in STEM. And this year she did the same thing for Wrinkle in Time. Homegirl met Oprah.
Ooh.
And Oprah matched her $50,000 GoFundMe with another $50,000.
Have you read A Wrinkle in Time?
Forever ago. I have to reread it. I was like 10 when I read it.
Delicious.
Yeah. But I can't even like plug for myself because there's so many other amazing women like doing such way more badass things than me. So go check out Leading Ladies 904 on Instagram and just listen to my show every night on KISSFM.
Oh, fantastic.
Well done. That's good.
See, you got any plugs or any?
I do.
What's up?
March 25th, I will be at the Real Ting Cafe.
The Real Ting.
The Real Ting.
I'm sorry,
No,
you have
comes
to.
with it. It
Yeah,
comes
you have
with
to.
it.
It does come with it.
I
It
don't
does.
call it by anything else.
That's right.
Yeah.
It will be an improv battle.
Oh shit.
Yeah, me-
8 Mile style.
No, man, improv.
Rabbit.
It'll be a bunch of comedians all kind of going after each other, doing improv in the style of like Wildin' Out. So I will be on one team with my buddy, who is also a comedian, Shay Clemens. If you can, just follow him. He's good. You can follow me on Twitter at Go for Caesar, CESAR. And if you want, coming out to Nighthawks on Tuesday nights. They have the After Dark comedy show, and sometimes I'm there. Also, you can go to Dahlia's Poorhouse on Thursday. They have an open mic there. Come on out, and I'll be doing stand-up there as well, if you so choose. But for sure, make sure you're at the Real Ting Cafe.
Real Ting. Sam, is that real quick? I'm sorry.
March 25th.
I'm going to show up to Real Ting, dressed as Ash Ketchum. As Ash Ketchum from Pokemon.
Wait,
Ass Ketchum?
All right, yo, can we go fast forward past that?
No. This is the Pokemon porno that's coming out.
And then was it the
right, come on.
villains, Jesse and
James.
Wait. Misty kind of sounds like a
Rocket
porn
Pad.
name, you know? Like
I
Ass
met a
Ketchum.
stripper named
Anyways,
Misty.
I'm going to show
so
up
it's real.
dressed as Ash Ketchum, and I'm going to be like, I choose you, Cesar. You said it's like a comedian battle. I put my money on Cesar above any comedian in Jax. Let me just put it that way.
Hey.
God bless you.
Which ain't much. It's like $2, but still.
It's okay. It's about all I'm worth, apparently. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Yo, honestly, check out C, because this dude is funny as hell, and he's extra funny when the cuffs come off behind the after the podcast. So check him out. Real Ting, March 25th, right?
Yep.
I don't got really cool shit like that to plug, so I'm just
It's
going
at
to go
8.
ahead
It's at 8. Come on, 8.
and plug.
Sorry.
If this is your first time tuning in and you enjoyed our show, I'm telling you, we've got 196 other episodes that are just as good.
Jam-packed.
And I implore you.
Filled with nonsense.
It's only Folio Weekly's Best of Jax podcast, you know.
I wasn't going to. I mean, I wasn't
Listen,
going to.
I will all day. There's the plaque.
Strategically placed above my head.
Like I said, I won't plug myself as much as I'll plug for other people. You
No,
know?
honestly, I listen to your I listen to podcasts in the morning when I wake up, and I listen to you guys, and I'll be just straight up.
Right after we listen to his own podcast.
With Cesar's mic's muted out.
A healthy amount of narcissism.
With Cesar's mic's muted out.
Healthy.
Honestly, But First Brunch podcast, I listen to you guys because I realized, I was like, yo, I don't listen to any podcasts that have like female hosts, and you guys are killer. You guys are awesome. That Dawn and
Thank
Deegan
you.
episode, I was like, this is fantastic. And the episode with Tony is fantastic too, because I love shit on Tony. But anyways, if you enjoyed this show or this episode, I'm telling you, check out our other episodes. www.shortboxjacks.com. We're all over social media, as well as anywhere that podcast can be found. So I'm sorry, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and now iHeartRadio as well.
Yep.
So.
I saw that. Welcome to the fam.
Yo, thank you.
I was
Thank
going
you.
to say shout out to Chris Milbrodt because he just followed us based on word of mouth today at work.
Yo, shout outs to Chris. Absolutely. So, without further ado, ladies and gents, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back in a week for a new episode. Holla.
Negro, you were raised in the suburbs.
Yeah, I was like, hang on. I feel like this isn't your normal outro.
Yo, honestly, it was. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast.
It was like this. You were like, hey, everybody, 15 minutes before the big hour with 80 degrees outside. Holla.
All right, like that.
You're better off without him. Go on and go on and cry. You're better off without him. Go on and cry. Be glad that you are free. Go on and cry.